Hello there, advanced performance management students. In this video, I'm going to help you get a pass on your upcoming exam. I'll take you on a debrief through question Morlich from December 2022. We'll look at all of the exam technique that you need to get a pass, including how to set up your answer, how to craft your answer, how to get the professional marks. If you find this video helpful, feel free to give it a like, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments below. All right, guys, let us get started. I've got question Morlich open on my screen. First thing we need to consider is time management. In the real exam, you'll have a timer up here in the upper right, and you need to give yourself 45 minutes to tackle this question. That time is going to fly by. Time will not be your friend in this exercise. So I recommend, first thing you do, organize your workspace. Open up the word processor. Let's park it on the right side of the screen. Let's open up all of the exhibits and get them on the left side of the screen. So when it's time to use this information, it's right there. You can close it and it will reopen to the same place where it was when you closed it. Remember that the APM exam is not an academic exam testing your book knowledge. It's more like a business simulation. Do you have the skills to give valuable advice to the leadership of this company and help them solve their business problems? So really important to get in that mindset. In order to do that, before we do anything else, now that we have our exhibits and our workspace laid out, let's read the company information and just see what this company is all about. What's their industry? Do we find their mission? Let's see what's in the company information. We learn that Morlich is an optician service company. It's a network of eye doctors. It's a for-profit company, and their main objective is maximization of shareholder wealth. And we learned about their secondary aims of providing excellent service, being the best, providing perfect quality. All of this is so important because when we get down to answering the question, we're going to need to refer to this information. We need to tailor our answer to this company. So one way to ensure a pass is to make sure your answer is referencing the information in the scenario. We learn more about their operations. We learn they have several branches throughout T-Land, and they seem to be centralized with their processes. We also learn that competitive rivalry is increasing, and strength in the brand is a critical success factor for this company. And we find another critical success factor that's actually in the industry, and that's employing knowledgeable employees who can help enhance and strengthen the brand. Now that I understand what the business is all about, I can close this exhibit and let's open up the requirements. Let's copy these requirements right into the word processor. And the copy-paste action does not preserve those line breaks, so we quickly add the line breaks. When we're all done, we'll peel off the marks so it looks nice and professional, but we can leave them there for now. And we can now start thinking about the tactics of getting a pass. We've got two things to look at: benchmarking and some current process. The pass mark is 50%, so 6 marks in A would be a bare minimum, 8 in B would be a bare minimum. Too risky though. I recommend you add a bit more. So 12 marks, let's add another quarter. I'm going to go for 8 ideas in part A, 6 ideas here. In case the marketing team doesn't agree with me, I've got a couple of ideas in reserve. These requirements do not give you enough information about the task at hand. One of the idiosyncrasies of APM is that within the exhibits, you will find specific instructions from the CEO. So the next thing that you do, read all the exhibits looking for the embedded requirements as you absorb the information about Morlich. And we learn that the CEO would like us to undertake a benchmarking exercise as she is concerned about dropping profitability. We've got some information in an appendix. So let's now copy paste the actual ask from the CEO. We copy it here into our word processor. So the first job is to complete the benchmarking exercise by calculating KPIs and then evaluate them. Now, I saw that there's a spreadsheet attachment, Appendix 1. When they give you a spreadsheet, that's a very important clue that we can use the spreadsheet to do the work. So let's just grab all of this now. Let's open the spreadsheet, and we can put it here, maybe column F or so. And when we get to doing our own calculations, it works just like Excel. We can double click on a column separator and auto enlarges. Now we can do our work in this area of the spreadsheet, just referencing the appendix, the data here in columns G and H. So team, I'm going to leave that up to you to finish the benchmarking. I got you set up in the spreadsheet. When you are all done, important, bring your findings over here to the word processor, and then you can complete the evaluation. Are these measures appropriate and sufficient for the industry? Here you're going to need your business acumen, okay, to relate those measures to the industry of the retail optician business that we have here. We read the next exhibit. And here we have the bit on business process reengineering. We've got 4 paragraphs or so that describe a process. And it's going to be up to you to find the problems in the process. And let's then find the ask. Once again, copy the embedded requirements right here into your document. And first verb, assess how Morlich could improve their current process of ordering and receiving goods by using business process reengineering. Team, this is where it's important to have some practical knowledge of these APM tools. If you have only read the textbook, it's going to be really hard to generate ideas. So you'll have to go back to that exhibit, find the problems. Remember, business process reengineering is a radical redesign. We don't need to bring any assumptions forward. So think about the latest and greatest technology tools that might help improve the performance of this company. Make sure you justify all of your ideas. Now it's over to you. Block out 45 minutes. Give this question a try. And in our next video, I'll debrief this with you and I'll take you through my solution to question Morlich. I will see you then. I'm back in the exam platform where we left off, ready to continue. To recap what we've done so far, we've read the exhibits. We've learned about the Morlich Optician Company, the chain of retail optician shops. We've learned about their mission to maximize shareholder wealth and their secondary aims, quality, being the best. We learned about the competitive industry and the increasing spend on advertising and the importance of knowledgeable employees. Then we learned about the request for the benchmarking exercise. Lastly, we read about the current process and we found the obvious inefficiencies in their supply chain processes. Reading the exhibits is a very important step because customizing your answer to the circumstances of Morlich is really important in order to get a pass. We've also found the embedded requirements and we've set up our word processor, ready to go. We've found the request for spreadsheet work, calculate those metrics, and we've set up our spreadsheet with the exhibit. I'm going to follow the great advice, easy marks first. I'm going to get warmed up by calculating these metrics right here in the spreadsheet. So let us do that together. Look at this. We have the metrics that we need to calculate right here on the bottom. I'm going to just make this a bit more efficient. I'm going to cut with a Control X, paste with a Control V, so they are next to this appendix so I can see all the data at the same time. Let me enlarge the window now so we can, if I can do that any further. Now I've got a nice view of the data that I need. First thing to do is calculate the operating profit margin growth. Too much to do in one formula. I could do it in one formula, but the chances of making a mistake are greater when you use big formulas. The bigger you make your formula, the more likely it is to have an error. So I'm going to move the metrics lower. Let me get those out of the way. Maybe I'll even move them one block lower. And if I want to get the operating profit margin growth, I've got to get the current margin. I got to get last year's margin. And then I can calculate the growth with that info. And how do we calculate the current margin? Well, I'm just going to use the equal sign. I'm going to grab the current operating profit of 0.8 and divide that by the current sales. And loving relative cell addresses in the spreadsheet, I copy, I paste, because the appendix is laid out symmetrically. The work is done. Last year's margin given to us on a silver platter down here. We can just grab that. That's cell F20. And once again, copy and paste. And we are in business. So the growth, or the decline, it looks like, will be equal to this year's growth. Let me open a parenthesis. This year's growth over last year's growth, close the bracket, minus 1. That's going to give me the change. Ooh, and we've got a negative 20%. You can copy that. And the competitors, Shield, let's copy the column headings, make it super clear for the marking team. Anything we can do to help the markers is nice to do. So we've arrived at our figures. They're looking a little messy. Let's be professional. Let's express that in a percentage to one decimal place. Now, there might not be a mark for that move, although you can earn professional marks in the spreadsheet, especially in question 1 for communication. It's a good idea to be professional. We want the marking team to be able to quickly read those figures. And we have it. I'm going to bold that out just so it jumps off the page. Customer satisfaction. Well, nothing to calculate there. We know ours, the competitor, is unknown. Cannot calculate anything there. product knowledge training spend per employee. Well, do we have the spend on product knowledge? Sure we do. $500,000. But we have the employees presented in a different precision. The training spend is rounded off. So we'll need to do that by hand. I'm going to type in 500,000. Then I can divide by the number of employees. And if I copy that over and change out the numerator to the spend from the competitor, which is 2 million. And we have that. Product knowledge training spend. Revenue per employee equals revenue in millions. So again, I'll do that by hand. 8,400,000 divided by the number of employees. And we can copy that over to the next cell. And we'll have to change out the revenue line again. For Shield, their revenue is 2184. So 21,840,000. And look at that. Let's make it more presentable. We can peel the zeros off of that. We don't need the decimal place there. That precision is not going to help us evaluate performance. And we see Morlich is less efficient than Shield pretty much on all of the metrics. Dropping margin, less spend on product knowledge, and less effective selling. So perhaps there's correlation between the poor financial performance and the investment in training. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This verb was calculate the metrics. We've done that, and we've scored 3 easy marks. If you got those numbers, congratulations. The calculations in APM, everybody, they're usually not that difficult. It's more like a proof of concept. They tested you with the difficult calculations in other papers. So at this point, it's really more of a proof of concept rather than a heavy numerical workout. But we earned the marks. Let's go back to the requirement and get busy writing up the next part. I'm back at the exam landing page. We did the spreadsheet work. Let's go back to the word processor. And we did the calculation of the suggested metrics. Let's make a note to the marking team. Please see the spreadsheet. Even if you hadn't written that, you can rest assured that the marking team will have checked your spreadsheet because they can't close out the exam unless they check all the exhibits. But again, professionalism is a good thing. Don't leave them in suspense. Let them know. So we've done that, and we're going for 12 marks. Half of 12 is 6. With some buffer, that's 9 marks. We got 3 marks already, so if we can scoop 6 more marks, we are in a comfortable passing zone. And we got the verb evaluate. And this is where professional marks will come into play. When we are evaluating, it's likely we can get some A and E professional marks here if we provide a balanced evaluation, if we show pros and cons, if we support our argument with evidence, and if we give a conclusion. So if you do that when you see the verb evaluate or assess, you're on track for earning nice professional marks. So I'm going to start with headings, signposting, a great thing to do, a great way to structure our answer. Let's see if the copy pasting from that exhibit 1 works, because we want these metrics. Maybe it will work. Probably will work without the line breaks. And it did. Great. So we've got operating profit margin growth, customer satisfaction, product knowledge training spend, revenue per employee. I'm going to go back into the exhibits. I'm going to think about the exhibits, think about the circumstances of this company. Are these metrics appropriate and enough to measure their performance? I've written up my answer. Before we have a look in detail, let's have a big picture view. And I'm liking the look of this. The sections that I started with have become my paragraph headings, and I've made them bold. So it looks nice, and so it jumps out, makes it easier for the marker to follow what I'm doing. Let's have a read. Operating margin growth. Operating margin growth is an important measure of operational efficiency. What percentage of revenue goes to operating costs? It's well understood by management and straightforward to calculate. The change in margin helps managers measure cost control and reduction, so it's a valuable indicator. That's evaluation. I've expressed judgment. I say it's valuable, and I said why. So I'm on track to earn both professional and technical marks there. Then I add more. The benchmarking exercise highlights a major concern. The competitor is improving their margin while Morlich is dropping, maybe due to their inefficient supply chain. Customer satisfaction. This is another critical indicator for retail businesses. Switching costs for customers are low if they want to choose another optician, so Morlich should monitor this. Now I'm expressing some business acumen. I'm making a nice point. I'm linking to other areas in the syllabus. Switching costs, that comes from the 5 forces model, which we use to evaluate an industry. To continue, there is no information from the competitor, so we can't compare performance. However, 50% seems low and might reflect customers' dissatisfaction. Oops, a little spelling mistake there, but remember, and a little grammar mistake. There should be an apostrophe there for possessive. But you won't lose any marks for spelling or grammar errors. If the marking team understands the point you're making, you will get the credit. However, 50% seems low and might reflect customers' dissatisfaction with waiting for their glasses. As their mission is to be the best, Morlich has room to improve. This is also one-dimensional. Retail often uses Net Promoter Score. What percentage of customers will recommend them to a friend? This would give a second view of customer satisfaction. More business acumen. Because I'm studying for APM, it's not enough just to look at the textbook. I'm looking at real-world examples of KPIs. If I see a question that asks about KPIs for a restaurant or a retail business or a hotel, I'm going to take a little time and actually find real examples of that to beef up my business acumen. Knowledge, training, spend per employee. Knowledge, training, spend per employee. This seems appropriate because the industry needs valuable employees, and this training will help them serve customers better and potentially help retain the valuable employees as they will be motivated by this opportunity. However, it would also be good to measure the effectiveness of the training, for example, by measuring employee retention and satisfaction. Guys, I'm happy with my answer. I am evaluating, again, expressing some judgment. I'm developing my ideas further. Using linking words like however is a great way to force yourself to develop ideas further. Now, you can see I'm writing less as time is elapsing. That is normal. At this point, pause the video and you can look at my final ideas. They're not as well developed, but that's what happens in an exam. You use your best ideas first. Please also note an overall comment. So, once again, I'm happy with this answer. I was looking for 6 marks. I've got more than 6 ideas here. Linking as much as I can to the scenario, trying to show business acumen with an overall comment. I'm confident I've got a decent pass on question 1. I did the numbers and I've written up a nice evaluation. Moving on to part B, the question about business process re-engineering. And they would like us to assess how Morlich could improve the current process of ordering and receiving goods by using BPR. And now we're going to need to go back to Exhibit 3. Every paragraph essentially has a description of an inefficient, non-value-adding stage of the supply chain process, either ordering the glasses or receiving the glasses or delivering the glasses to the customer. Now, ACCA is not expecting you to be a process improvement quality expert. If that was your career goal, you'd be doing Six Sigma black belt training. You need to be able to review a business process and then identify and evaluate basic, obvious deficiencies and inefficiencies with that process. So you've read the scenario, you find the problems, and next step, we list out the problems as they will become our headings. When I read the exhibit, I found 3 problems jumping out at me. The handoffs to the admin team, the number of suppliers that they had, and then the checking of the received goods. And I have a couple of ideas under several of these headings, but that's my starting place. And I also haven't forgotten an overall comment when I'm assessing or evaluating something. So let me write up my answer now. Looking for 8 marks, so if I can come up with 6 ideas, I'm in a safe passing zone. Here I'm also going to practice demonstrating some skepticism. Here I'm not afraid to identify problems and say why they're problems, going negative in a respectful way. I've finished writing up my answer, and again, I'm happy with it. The section headings, the signposting, always a great thing to do. That'll help you get professional marks in question A when you're making that report. Making the report look like a report with headings and subheadings adds to the communication mark. But we're not talking about question 1, we're talking about this question. Have a look at my first out-of-the-gate idea. BPR defined. Why did I put that in there? The requirement didn't ask for a definition. Guys, this is one of the hidden marks in APM. When you are asked to use a technical term for an evaluation, there's usually a mark for defining that term. So do a quick definition. You could earn a mark. You probably will earn a mark. Don't get into the background of the model. Don't get into the stages of the model. Just a quick definition. BPR defined. BPR describes a radical approach to improving a business. It's about starting with a blank page and adapting radical change to a company's processes to help improve competitive advantage. No assumptions need to be brought forward, and the company is looking for big leaps in performance improvement. Guys, that's really BPR in a nutshell. And that's the technical knowledge I'm bringing into my exam right now. So remember, limited marks for knowledge dumps in this exam. Really go light with your definitions. The focus should be on providing valuable advice to the company in question. Let's get to the problems now. I've also added a little start off here, supply chain problems. We see many supply chain inefficiencies that are hurting Morlich's performance. Using a BPR approach is a good way to modernize the company. I got started with that. Not sure if that's going to get a mark. On second thought, maybe that I'm being a little verbose, but I wrote it. Now, handoffs to admin. There are too many handoffs of information to the admin team. For example, doctors placing the order to admin, and the admin makes the order. This causes delays and risks of ordering mistakes, as an admin staff is more likely to enter a prescription incorrectly than an eye doctor. A modern ERP system should enable an improved ordering system so doctors can place the orders on a portal directly with the suppliers. And I continue. Also, there is a big bottleneck and pain point at the goods received end of the supply chain. Customers could be allowed to choose home delivery instead and get the glasses delivered right to their house. This would save time and reduce the lost goods. Let's add to that, improving customer satisfaction. I've decided I don't like this part. That's the beauty of working in a word processor. It's a living document. Okay, we don't need that. I like it better like this. So I'm confident I've got 3 marks so far. I'm looking for 6. Now, number of suppliers. It seems like there are too many suppliers due to the history of the company. It would be good to start fresh with a small preferred supplier list. This will make linking an ordering system more feasible and potentially improve bulk purchase discounts. I think that's a reasonable idea, and that would be a pretty big change for a company to reshuffle their vendor list. Next idea, checking the received goods. This seems like a non-value adding activity, as the admin can't check if the prescriptions or the frame sizes are correct. And the main problem is lost product, not defective product. I'm trying to express more business acumen there, making my answer relevant, linking it to the story, using practical examples and illustrations from the industry. This process can be cut from the value chain and replaced with a supplier service level agreement. Look, I'm bringing in other areas of the syllabus. I'm showing a big picture view. They pay a penalty if order errors exceed a threshold. Little misspelling there. I wouldn't lose credit for that. This would again reduce costs and improve the lead times between ordering and customer delivery. Guys, I'm really happy with this answer. I'm looking for 8 marks. I got 6 good ideas in there and an overall comment. Morlich's margins are dropping and their customer satisfaction is low. A BPR initiative to improve their supply chain would reduce their costs and improve satisfaction. Guys, I'm very happy with this answer. I'm demonstrating skepticism with a challenging tone. I'm not afraid to criticize the inefficient stages of their business process here. I've got an overall comment. I'm linking to the scenario. Lots of examples. I'm happy I'm earning a comfortable pass on the professional marks as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our debrief of question Morlich. If you found this difficult, that is fine. There is still plenty of time to study. It's better to get the wake-up call now about the difficulty of APM than to wait till the week before to start immersing yourself in the exam questions. So my message to you at this point, really dive into the exam kit, the exam book from an approved publisher. Really practice application of the APM concepts. That's going to help you get a pass. APM team, that's a wrap on our debrief of question Morlich. I hope you found that useful. Good luck on your upcoming APM exam.